Just putting your head in the way and spinning the thing around your body. In this video, I'm going to be talking all about the brass 9-section chain whip we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. I'm going to be talking all about its features, how it compares to other 9-section whips we have here for sale. I'm going to be giving you all the dimensions and weights of the chain whip, and at the end I'm just going to give you a few little tips and tricks how to get started with chain whips. Hi, my name's Doug Swift and I've been doing martial arts for the past 34 years and I've been the owner of Enso Martial Arts for the past 17 years. If you're liking this video, click the subscribe button down below. Get all of the latest videos on all of the products we have here for sale at Enso Martial Arts. So let's get into this video and learn all about the brass 9-section chain whip we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. So, 9-section chain whips are one of those pretty rare weapons. Now, most people would have seen them being used because it's one of the much more flashier Kung Fu weapons. So it tends to get rolled out in demos, so the one person that can do it tends to get rolled out over and over and over. So you do see it a lot on the internet and videos, and if you go to see Kung Fu demos, things like that, you know, more often than not someone will be doing it. But in terms of getting onto it yourself in the kind of natural progression of a Kung Fu class, it's very, very unlikely. It's one of those weapons that's quite, you could say high up, but it's quite far along in terms of your martial arts training or Kung Fu training. So most people won't get onto it. And, you know, it's very flashy. It's, in terms of the Kung Fu ability that you need for it, you need lots of spatial awareness, lots of hand-eye coordination, so it's not something that you really want to get people onto early on in their Kung Fu career. Better save it for later, and therefore, you know, you get a lot of dropouts and whatever, and people just don't necessarily get to it. Also, not all Kung Fu instructors will know how to use it, and also not all Kung Fu styles will do it. So, you know, the pool of people gets smaller and smaller and smaller because you take out all the people that haven't got there yet, or the style doesn't do it, you know, or it's just not available in your area where you live and you train, and it's just not something that you're ever going to get onto. But if you do get onto it, it's a really, really fun weapon, and like I said, it is one of those really, really flashy weapons, so it's really easy to impress people with 9-section whips. So yeah, definitely, if you can get onto it, it's definitely worth learning. The other thing I think that's very appealing about chain whip is it's something that you could theoretically pick up yourself and have a go at. A lot of the kind of basic techniques that you're going to use are relatively simple in concept. And if you don't mind just taking a knock or getting whacked now and again, or a lot, you know, especially when you start off, it is something that you could buy yourself and just have a go at home. Follow some internet tutorials, and you know, you'll be getting a few techniques down relatively early on. Now, in terms of having a whole sort of Kung Fu form that you can demonstrate, and some of the techniques much harder, and you'd actually need a really good foundation in Kung Fu. But in terms of spinning the thing around, relatively easy for someone to pick up and do that, which is really nice. Now, in days gone by, there wasn't really anywhere we could get any form of instruction, and like I said, the internet is a really good source of information nowadays, and you can pretty much learn anything you want to. Now, one thing that has happened with the chain whips is a lot of the circus guys have picked up similar style like weapons and merged them into a circus setting. So there's no martial sort of connection anymore, but a lot of the circus guys have really gone to town with the kind of complex tricks with these things. So rope dart is definitely one of them, and chain whips, or at least some form of chain whip style, maybe like the poi and other things, has definitely become really popular. So if you do want to be super flashy, yes, martial arts is a really good place to learn, but check out the circus guys and some of the stuff they're doing, because they're taking the rope dart concept and chain whips and other things to a whole new level. Now, like I said, there's absolutely no martial kind of thinking in what they're doing, so it is just to be super complex and flashy, but it's definitely worth having a look at if you want to get started and you want to get an idea of what's possible with the chain whips. Now if you're new to Kung Fu or you're new to looking into weapons and you're not really sure how you would get into it, like which styles would use these, well, Shaolin are known very much, probably the top of the list in terms of using chain whips. They're known for having very, very flashy performances. They do lots of traveling around, lots of demos, and chain whips definitely feature in a lot of their demos. So Shaolin Kung Fu is a place that you could go to if you wanted to learn chain whips. Now, like I said, most instructors won't get you on that early on in your training career. It's going to be something that you're going to have to sort of train through, lots of empty hand forms, lots of weapons, until you get onto chain whips, until you get the point where you kind of get the option to specialise on something, and chain whips could be the specialism. Now, I'm sure there are other Kung Fu styles out there that use them. Obviously the Wushu, which is arguably a spin-off from Shaolin or a merging of the two. It gets a bit complicated, but Wushu, Shaolin would be the two. There are others out there, I'm sure, but they are the two main styles if you're interested in learning whips. Let's actually have a look at this brass chain whip. Now, it's actually quite a weight in my hand. You can see there's quite a lot of it. Now, this is by far the heaviest chain whip that we sell at Enso Martial Arts, and being this beautiful brass colour, you know, it's got a lot more weight to it than the standard kind of steel iron made chain whips. Being heavy, it's much harder to use. It's much slower in the air, and it's much more weight on your arms, much more, you could say, difficult to control, but you can't whip the thing in the same way that you can the lightweight ones. So it does take quite a bit of an adjustment if you've been using the lightweight ones to move on to the heavy. But the heavy is a much more intense workout. So if you want to work out from your Kung Fu, you want something that's going to test you, you want to sort of build up a bit of muscle mass and really get some strength, a heavyweight chain whip like this is a really good option for you. Not to mention that it does look absolutely fantastic. I've kind of got it in a crunched up ball here, but I think they look absolutely brilliant, way more spectacular than the standard silver coloured ones. If I can get my camera to focus, there we go. I think it looks absolutely brilliant, so I really like these chain whips. Here is our standard heavyweight chain whip, the chrome dip chain whip, and I'll just find the spike on the end so you can have a decent comparison. So this is the heavyweight, so we do a lightweight, medium and heavyweight chain whip, and you can see the difference in the size of it. Now this is the heavyweight, forget, it's not a lightweight. The lightweights are much skinnier, and you can see the size of the spike is completely different, much heavier, and I guess because of the spike it's longer, but it's not that much longer. But you can see the handle ends as well, much bigger, so it's much more of a weight to handle when you're spinning this thing around. So it definitely isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a really good workout, and definitely something to add to your collection if you really like collecting Kung Fu weapons. So I'll give you all the dimensions and weights of this brass 9-section chain whip so you know exactly what you're buying. Now, one thing that's worth noting is 9-section whips are called that because they have 9 sections in the middle. Also has a spike and a handle, so technically there's 11 parts to it if you discount all the rings, but it's 9 sections in the middle. Now, I have heard of people talking about 11-section whips, 17-section whips. I don't know if it's true. I've never seen one. I'm sure they are out there, or people have had them made, but the standard really is 9-section whips. You do get 3-section whips and 1-section whips, which is 3 parts. Completely different thing. I've never seen them being demoed or taught. 9-section whips are definitely like the standard, and the majority of people are going to be using this. So all the dimensions and weights will be on the website. There'll be way more on the website than what I'm going to give you here, but just so you got a general idea, each of the sections are 9 centimeters long, and the handle is a really good fist width, which is about 13 centimeters long. Now in total, and these long weapons are always a total pain to measure on video because it'd be better if I could lay the thing out. In total it comes to around 138 centimeters long. So pretty standard in terms of length, just slightly longer than the others because the end spike is a bit longer, but pretty standard length. And looking at the weight, this one comes in at 877 grams, so considerably heavier than even the heavyweight we have here. And compared to the lightweight, I mean, it's a completely different product in a way. It's almost like 3 or 4 times heavier. So at Enso Martial Arts, we do pride ourselves on having a pretty good selection of martial arts kit all round, but we do like to think we've got one of the best selections of Kung Fu, like Kung Fu training equipment, certainly the weapons, than sort of anybody else in the UK and hopefully in Europe too. So as well as the brass 9-section chain whips, we also have lightweight, medium weight and heavyweight chain whips, double meteor hammers, metal and bamboo fans, the pretty rare Hermé piercers, 3 different weights of Kung Fu iron rings, and a whole range of long weapons, staffs, monk spades, guandaos, pudaos, spears, double spears. If you want to see the whole range, check out the website ensomartialarts.com. So as promised at the beginning of the video, I'll just give you a few tips and tricks getting started with chain whip. Now, I personally wouldn't recommend starting off with a brass chain whip. Maybe starting with sort of a medium weight or lightweight. You know, if you're doing Wushu or Shaolin, they would start off with the really lightweight ones first. Now, traditionally, you'd want something much heavier. If you're thinking about doing sort of combat application stuff, a much heavier weight one would probably be the norm. However, you know, it's not something that's seen so often, so I would recommend starting off with something a bit lighter and moving on to something like this brass one a bit later on. But if you're absolutely dead set on getting one of these, and I can totally understand it, they are absolutely brilliant and really, really beautiful. I'd just start off with a few techniques just by spinning the thing around. Now, this is pretty close to the camera and the back of the shop, so I do my best not to smash you guys and all of my products, but just get used to spinning the thing around, and you can just turn it around either side of you. 1 spin on each side, 2 spins on each side, whatever just gets used to kind of the feel of spinning the thing around. Now, you might use this in a demo on its own, you might use 2 of them, or you might use this and a broadsword. You know, it's very common to do any of those. So you've got to also think about where your body is, you know, having the other one free to do 2 chain whips, etc, etc. So just be aware that you just want to be very comfortable spinning this thing around. Now that is probably the first thing I'd get used to. If that's freaking you out, yeah, maybe you want to go on to something a bit lighter so it's not so much of a weight on your hand. You know, it can feel like quite a lot's pulling on you because of the momentum. It's like it's almost a whole kilo of weight that's spinning around you. Now, some of the techniques that you can move on to while spinning this thing around are spinning it around your neck, which is always quite a good one to start with. So, and it's simply about just putting your head in the way and spinning the thing around your body. So, looks pretty impressive. Once you get the timing of it, it's relatively easy, but you know, get it wrong and you are going to have 1 kilo of chain whip wrapping around your head with quite a healthy spike on the end of it. The other things you can do, you know, obviously like spinning around, like turning your whole body so the thing's going backwards and getting used to just moving round and around, and other things like spinning it around your legs, which again takes a bit of timing, and it does mean you have that spike spin around in front of your face. So it's just a few little things just to get you started, a few tips and tricks. If you've got any questions about that, you're welcome to drop a comment in the box below. We'll do our absolute best to answer as quickly as possible. Give it a go, hope you enjoy yourself, and beware of that spinning spike. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it was useful. I hope you learnt loads about the brass 9-section chain whip we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate a subscribe to this channel. You'll get notifications on all of the products we have here for sale at Enso Martial Arts. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.